Hello and welcome everyone. Today I want to talk about versioning in your VST plugin projects. Here on the interface you can see the version number 0.1 in the bottom right corner of the interface, and this already gives you a lot of information about this project. I guess the first thing you would think is this number is below 1, so this is not the main release yet. This is an early release or like a alpha or beta version or whatever, and if it was exactly 1 then it would be the initial release on the release date, and if it was like 1.1, 1.2, anything like that with decimal numbers, then this would be an experimental version, an in development version, something that currently builds up to the next big version, which would be an integer number again, like number 2, to really show to the user that this is now a stable version. Yeah, a really short string, nice and readable, and gives you a lot of information. So what could there be to improve, right? So here's the thing. Let's say you as a developer added the code somewhere else, blah 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 blah. This was supposed to be editing and now you say, okay, this is version 2. Now you hit build again, distribute it to the users, and the users update the plugin, open it, and they are like, oh yeah, cool, I'm on version 0.2 now. And then, hey, what? The tooltip still says 0.1. That's confusing. Maybe I should reinstall the plugin. Then they do that. It doesn't work. They reinstall it again. Then they contact the support like, what the fuck is this? It doesn't work. And then the support is like, oh, about that. The thing is, it already works. We just didn't update the tooltip string. Sorry about that. And then, I mean, this could lead to a certain frustration, I think. The next thing is, in which way do you even increment? Let's say you did a change and it's really small. Do you go to 0.3 now, or do you go to 0.21, or do you go to 0.25 or 0.5? For example, in Cubase, I'm currently on the version 9.5.3. Like, what does that even mean? At this point, the readability, even though you can clearly see the number and you can also remember them, which is kind of cool, doesn't really mean anything anymore. And I personally don't like that. So now I will show you a solution to this problem and to some of the other problems as well. It has its own problems, but I like it more. I can already tell you that. So I'm using the get build date function. Just hit build and you will see what happens. So here you can see it shows you the developer name, Beats Basteln, version October 13th, 2023 with 1843 as the time. And it all happened automatically because, as you know, I was just doing a function call and didn't manually write a string. So now you might be wondering, like, how is that even possible? This is the get build date function. As you can see, it uses the juice macro, juice plugin manufacturer, and you have this macro if you have, told the producer what your manufacturer name is, and it uses the C++ macro date and time. So yeah, whenever you are building your project, it will automatically use the correct information in this string, and that way you cannot forget to update it correctly. It is just completely foolproof, and that's why I like this solution so much. Now it's time to put back my tooltip, because now you know what's going on. And I will tell you more about my opinion about the pros and cons of the individual approaches. I have to give the normal versioning that it is compatible with most web pages that have something to do with VST plugins. For example, KVR forces you to give it an information about the versioning when you upload your plugin. And yeah, I just told it it's 1.0, even though I don't even use this kind of versioning in my plugins, just so KVR is happy. So that's kind of problematic. You cannot like inject your own type of versioning into every place that has something to do with plugins, but that shouldn't stop you, because most of the fun when using plugins is not happening on websites but in the DAWs, of course. As I already mentioned, the biggest pro of this approach is that it's just foolproof. It is an automatically updated way of making a build. It is definitely harder to read. People will not read this and be like, oh yeah, I totally remember what the last string there was. They will have to compare an old screenshot or something in order to find out if it worked. I mean, okay, that could be seen as a con. Also, there is no difference between a stable and an experimental build. But to be honest, what is even a stable or an experimental build? Can there even be a stable build? Have you ever seen a piece of software that has no bugs? I don't believe in that anyway. For example, Bitwig always shows me this little update pop up in the top right corner telling me that there is a new big update, and I just know that they didn't fix any of the bugs that I ever mentioned to them that exist. So I usually just don't even update, because I don't care for whatever else they are doing there, unless they are adding some crazy effects again. Yeah, I mean, Bitwig is just an extreme example because they always put their updates so into the front of the user interface when there are updates. But I think that's a thing in all software and in plugins as well. So yeah, what's the matter of making a difference between stable and experimental? Let's just make a new version and that's it. Another thing that I really like about this type of versioning is that it emphasizes on the history of the plugin. For example, here you can see it's 2023, and if you imagine I keep on working on this plugin, like this is a template, but imagine this is a plugin and I keep on working on that, and at some point it will say 2028, and you know, okay, 5 years of development. That's pretty cool, because that really shows like how much love and passion went into the development. It makes it more of a personal thing, I think. Sometimes when I try to find out when a plugin has been released, I can't even find it when I go to the web page where it is being sold. And I'm thinking just to myself, like, how can we be in the year 2023 and still not care about the history of the software that matters most to us so much? I just don't get it. So this type of versioning also solves that, because whenever you find an old screenshot of a plugin that has this type of versioning on it, you just know, okay, that's the date, that was the time. And I think that's pretty beautiful actually. So yeah, I do respect the other type of versioning. It does have its own pros, but I also want to encourage people to use this versioning because, you know, it's just less error prone to do that. And if you find yourself sometimes forgetting to update the version number, then this is cool. I would definitely forget that all the time. I'm pretty sure of that. So for me, there is actually no option. I would just say, you know, if you want to have your mind free for other stuff, then just use this type of versioning. And also if you like the historical aspects of it and all that. So yeah, that's why I wanted to make a little video about that. See you next time.